Okay, so we are going to be doing the Walk This Way Cosmos stage. This is my second video on this, and my first one I demonstrated how you can use Prompto's evasion ability to basically cheat the entire boss's gimmick by forcing them to spend their Brave on HP attacks against him that miss, and then you can just deal 1 damage to them and still break them regardless of their defense. In that video, I mentioned that characters who can inflict things like poison or sap are a nice alternative to that because those debuffs are going to drain away Brave while also ignoring defense. Another good strategy for it is to use batteries to just deal damage straight through it, as long as you're not going to die, in which case you need to bring a healer. This team has all of those things. As you can see, it's a fairly accessible team. Only my Warrior of Light is maxed with good artifacts. The rest of the team is sort of in the middle. You can see I do have an EX for Shantotto, but I don't have her past Crystal 61. Nor do I have perfect artifacts for her. I just have a lot of damage boosting ones. So we'll give this a go. But I think this team should be able to do it. Alright, so the first thing you gotta do with Freya is get your buffs up. Race's Wind is really important because it also massively boosts her max Brave. So it's pretty much what you're going to do first every time. Now Shantotto, I don't believe can normally kill one of these with just an HP plus, but because she received a battery, she can. So I can conserve abilities in that way. Warrior of Light does not have, of course, his HP plus yet, so I'm going to be going ahead and using a Shining Shield. Nice thing about this particular team is they have a lot of Brave Plus and HP Plus abilities that are fairly useful, or in the case of Shantotto, mandatory, which means it does make it a little bit easier to make it through a long fight. Now, her HP Plus doesn't activate until she uses Dragon Breath once, which I'll be doing in the next wave, so I'm just going to use HP attacks to get through this guy. Now, a couple strategies for these. You can blow them up at the same time to completely avoid the heal. You can try to focus one down entirely without damaging the other if you have a lot of single target damage, and then the heal goes to waste on the other one. Realistically, it doesn't heal that much damage, so you can pretty much do whatever you want here. I am going to focus down B. And I pretty much just picked that at random. That said, I'm going to use a Throw Buckler to keep A aggroed onto Warrior of Light. Now, Shantotto, you do have to manage her rage count. There's a couple ways to do that. Using her Brave or HP Plus is going to restore her rage. That's your primary method, but alternately, if she gets hit and she's already below 3 rage, it will fill her back up to 3. And since it's an all-attack queue here, there's absolutely no reason to do anything but an ability. Finally, during the last wave, when the bosses inevitably do their all Brave plus HP attack, if it does knock Shantotto under half, she'll permanently stay in rage, which is actually really handy. Now from this point, I don't want to use many ability uses for her, so I'm going to start using her jump and high jump a little bit more. Also, Shantotto's EX, while not really all that important to her at this point, does give her an extra ability, which means it gives her more lasting power, which is still always very nice. I'm going to take this part fairly slow and steady. Again, my goal is just to have as many abilities left in the final round as possible. That said, I don't want a trash wave like this to take forever, so I'm gonna go ahead and blow on. Okay, so first turn the enemy, you're gonna see their primary gimmick, which is Guard Resonance. This is gonna give them a Brave Battery, but more importantly, it skyrockets their defensive stats. As you can see, it's invisible, so it's not a buff that you can dispel, and they happen to be immune to defense down, which means you can't circumvent it through the most obvious means. There are a couple ways around it. So I mentioned earlier, you can use Prompto, or I guess Edge. He's a little dated now, but he does the same thing. When they HP attack with Dive Bomb, they're going to still spend their Brave, even though the attack misses, which drops them right to 0 Brave, allowing you to break them no matter how high their defense is. This strategy is going to use Shantotto's combination of Poison and Sap, which you can also get from Ida, who happens to be featured on the banner for this event. There are a few other ways you can get around it as well. You could use percent-based damage. For instance, Sephiroth's EX will drain them right down to 0 Brave. Or someone like Bart's, or if you can pull off Yuffie, would be really good at Brave shaving these guys. Finally, you could probably try using framed defense down debuffs, which will still land. Characters like Sarah, Noctis, Ramza's EX, I believe. All of those characters can still inflict their defense down on these guys, even though they're immune to the regular debuff. So you can try a whole lot of different ways to get through this. Nonetheless, this first turn is the most dangerous in the entire fight, so I'm probably going to consider summoning here, and swapping in Quistis like right away. I'm going to swap her for Freya, and the reason is I'm going to want Freya later for healing. It's going to be really important once they start using their area attacks, so I'm going to get her in to start delaying right off the bat. Unfortunately, that means you're using a homing whip that does approximately 0 damage on your first turn, but it does at least get her frame to buff on, which is really important. Now, the reason I'm going to summon right away is because I absolutely want to make sure that I do have Rage Bio applied to both of them before they get a turn. I'll probably be able to break them during this summon anyway, because they're going to be Thunder Weak. But I just really want to make sure I have the fight completely under control before anything bad happens. Now I have a couple of options here. So maintaining Shantotto's rage is a lot easier if one of them is free to hit her. So I'm probably only going to throw Buckler at one of these guys, at least initially, and then allow the other one to be aggroed by Shantotto's EX. Now with Quistis, it's up to you which one you delay. You can try delaying the off-target one that you're not hitting. You can try to have her keep delaying the one you're focusing down, because that way you get more damage on it. You can even slap in a laser whip once in a while just to super delay the thing. I'm going to have her help kill the one I'm already going to be aiming at here. Now, as you can see, Shantotto needs to refresh her rage, so I'm just going to do a regular Brave Plus here. Now, since her EX is back up, I'm actually going to go ahead and have her slap it onto this guy just to get a slow in place. It's not much, but it is going to help get more turns for my team in the meantime, which is nice. Now, an alternative to Quistis, you could bring any character that can deal damage to both of them at the same time. They happen to be weak to Thunder, so you could bring in someone like the Twins, and they could just spam skill 1 in their EX until these things lose a giant chunk of their health. You have a few options, so. And I do want to be careful with Shantotto that I don't just burn out all of her abilities. But I do want to do a lot of damage early on to this guy. You do want to take advantage of turns where you happen to already have a battery for Shantotto to recharge if you can. That way you're using our HP plus. That didn't work out for me the last time, but this time I can still do a good bit of damage with it, so that's what I'm going to do. Okay. And Freya's just going to go ahead and do this, and that will break A as well. So I knew Shantotto's EX was going to be up here. I'm actually going to go ahead and use this on A so that A will attack Shantotto. Now, Shantotto doesn't need her bravery charged, but pretty much anytime it's up, I'm going to shoot it at A for that reason. Now here I'm going to go pretty heavy with Dragon's Breath since there's still 2 of them up. I want to get the most bang for my buck out of the splash damage from it. Once one of them's dead, I'll probably resort to using more of her jump and high jump abilities. So I just want to make sure that I keep both debuffs on both enemies. As you can see, A is going to be losing his Accursed Gaze from Shantotto, which has sap on it. So I do need to make sure I hit him again to reapply it. And since he's about to shield himself here, I do want to make sure he breaks. So I'm going to go ahead and just smack it. Just so he has less brave to deal with. Alright, so, as I mentioned, if Shantotto is below 3 rage, she's going to fill back up. There's an all-attack queued up here, so there's absolutely no reason why I should do anything other than use an ability on this turn. So here's where it gets a bit dicey. This guy has a lot of brave, and he's defense buff. Now, Shantotto's poison is going to do some work on that, but it's not going to do 9,000 damage. So I want to get him down to like 7,000 or less, generally speaking. Now, Shantotto's still got 2 turns on rage, so I can safely go ahead and slap the EX on this guy. He's already aiming at her, but in the event he wasn't, I would want him to. So. Now, I probably should have used the shiny shield here because this is going to actually hit Shantotto. But as you can see, it didn't do too much damage. I just really wanted to brave shave him a little bit. And as you can see, that didn't do much damage because Shantotto's poison and sap was able to drain away most of his brave. And turns like that, where they recover from brave, are really a lot less threatening in these cases. Alright, so A is readying his all attack. I'm going to want to make sure I use Warrior of Light's extra ability before that from now on, just to make sure I mitigate some damage, because he's going to start spamming it like crazy. He does have a turn before A acts, so I'll do it on that turn. Like I said, I'm pretty much burning her out Dragon Breaths. The last one I'll use at some point just to refresh the buff, but from this point on, she's not going to be using it except when that happens. Now, you could go ahead and hold on to his EX to heal after this all attack coming up. I don't think it's going to matter, especially. The reality is that Freya's also healing with this particular team, so I have a lot of health regeneration. Might even be better if this does some meaningful damage just to get Shantotto in permanent raid, but it's just not going to happen. So you can use things like Shining Shield here to deal damage even when his defense is high, since it batteries himself, and the rest of the team in fact. So I need to reduce that poison here. So the goal is to give Shantotto a little longevity at this point by giving her batteries from Warriors Light and Freya, which is pretty easy to do. Now Freya this turn, I'm going to go ahead and use a Dragon Breath to refresh her Dragon's Crest. It may fall off before the end of the fight, but at that point it shouldn't matter too much. I'll just start going a lot harder with Warriors Light than I have been. I have been using, up until now, a lot of HP pluses. I'm going to be switching that up and using a lot of skills at this point. Sort of unfortunate that happened at a bad turn. As I mentioned, I do want to have that up for when the all attacks come in, just to be careful. I hate to lose the HP conditional this close to the end of the fight, after all. And that's the end. Alright, well thanks for watching, and good luck on your own runs.